Like I said many times, this man needs no introduction. One of our great friends of the show, one of my great friends in life, and just one of, like I said, just one of our favorites. Once again, to talk sports with me and just hang out just because the great Alex Young is back on the Productive Conversations podcast. What's up, Alex?
What's going on, Matt? Again, I always am so excited to be part of your show, and it's great to be on again. The last time we had baseball today, we're doing a little bit of everything, so I'm
Yes,
super
sir.
excited to talk about a little bit of everything today.
Exactly. So, like I said, I'm always excited to have you on, one of our great recurring guests on this show. And yeah, let me just turn my signer off to show how much fun we're having. And yeah, so Alex, before we get into it, as we talk all things sports today, how's everything been so far? The weather's getting warmer. Are you someone who's in favor of the vaccine? Did you get it yet? What's going on with you in general, Alex?
Not much, just staying busy with work mainly. Got my vaccines, so it's nice to return a little bit to normalcy. I play golf, so been trying to get out at least once a week. And like you said, the weather's been nice, so just being able to pick a day, usually, I pick a morning or something when it's like 60 degrees outside or sometimes warmer. Go out and get to play around in. So that's what I've been mainly paying attention to, just trying to get back into golf
All
and
right.
get my golf game, steady. And I'm playing, at least once a week. So no complaints on my end. But so far, everything's been great so far.
We're hitting him straight, Alex. We're having fun with that.
Yeah, I'm starting off well. First few rounds are a little shaky, but the last two, I say, I was pretty confident. So I've been hitting them pretty accurate. Little mistakes here and there. I'm not the best golfer in the world, but I've been pretty confident in my game lately. So so far, I've been having a lot of fun. It's just nice to go out at least once a week and play a sport I love so much. Yeah.
Definitely. And like I said, we're starting getting young now. We're still so young as we up our game. I'd love to do a round with you one of these days this summer. At least once this summer, we got to go out. I'll
Yeah,
even come out
sure.
to Jersey. You could show me some of the cool courses over there. And that was fun. You saw Rory finally won a tournament. I saw he
Yeah.
won on Sunday.
Yeah, he finally turned it around. There were some glimpses that the Rory that was so dominant a few years ago was coming back, and then he always came up a little bit short. But to see him this weekend, win the Wells Fargo, kind of come back a little bit, I wholly hope that for the sport that he continue his success. He's great for his sport. Obviously he had a lot of pressure on him, early on in his career with all the success and then signing with Nike. And then everyone's like, he's the next Tiger. And it's like, there's only one Tiger, everyone knows that at this point. But to see him kind of get back into the way he was and play great over the weekend, was definitely promising to see. And like I said, it's great for the sport when he has success. And I hope he can continue that going forward.
Definitely. People were saying like once he settled down with the love of his life, that's when his game went down. But see, it proves we cannot get distracted. Yeah, like you said, the US Open in a few weeks. Now we're having things getting nitty gritty. So as life's getting back to normal and figuring stuff out, it's exciting to see what's going on. So before we get into it, I'm just curious, Alex. I think we could both agree we do have a love and respect for hockey, but we're just more into like the basketball, golf, football. But we do know we could hold our own with hockey for sure. I was just curious as a Rangers fan, what did you think of the whole Tom Wilson incident? I know we are about a week removed from it as they're getting ready for their playoffs, but how did you feel like the perspective with the Rangers after that? Then Dolan cleaning house in the front office, and then your season quietly coming to an end on Sunday. But how did you feel witnessing what we saw with? And for people who don't know, we had Tom Wilson pretty much doing all out assault on the ice against when the Rangers played the Capitals last week, and then it resulted into a huge brawl melee on Thursday night. It was 12 different fights, but it looked like the Rangers got their ass kicked in all those fights. But at least they've tried. And now we have a new era really has to start. I think it's a good time for this season to end and they can reflect. But what did you think of the whole mess going on for the Rangers?
I don't know. It was odd. with everything, you don't normally see a press release calling
Yeah.
for someone to be fired. So I thought that was a little interesting, but supposedly, like just looking at it, like the GM and everyone was on board with that press release as well as Dolan. And then next thing you know, like Dolan cleans house
Hmm.
because, there wasn't the success he wanted, even though everyone knows these last few seasons, it's been a rebuild and there's a lot of young talent. So it was just like a weird instance. I was totally fine with them starting off, fighting the Capitals the next night.
Hmm.
I think that was the thing they had to do. I know there's a young team. So just to show that they're not going to take any crap from anyone and back up their guys, I thought
Yep.
that was promising for a young team, shows them some grit. Um, but it's just like a weird instance, and we know how Wilson is as a player and his reputation, that he's done dirty things like this in the past.
Yep.
It's not something uncommon for him. So the fact that he wasn't suspended at least a game, was kind of surprising, especially with the extent of what happened. You don't want to see a player get injured, and Wilson tends to hit to cause injury at times. It's just the kind of player he is. So all in all, I was surprised seeing that release. I wasn't shocked they were going to find. Dolan really hasn't been involved with the Rangers as much as he is with the Knicks. So it was kind of surprising to me to see him say, we're going to, clean house, start a new slate. Even though, we're in the middle of a rebuild. And from what we see, the talent that has been acquired these last few years has been pretty solid.
Hmm.
So I was kind of surprised to see that now in the middle of rebuilds, you're going to bring in new guys. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the future, who they bring in and everything like that. I just guess it's still weird. It's Dolan so quick triggered at times. So
Hmm.
I feel like this was just kind of one of those decisions that he decided maybe we just need to go in a different direction, or he sees some talent and he just wants, maybe to go after a top guy and then go from there. So we'll see what happens this offseason. But it was a very interesting few days of Rangers hockey towards the end of the season. So
Finally getting some clout. Like I admit, I do like the Rangers are on this wall, but I haven't kept up as much with the hockey as I've had in the past. But I am making a pledge by this fall when they do resume, I'll get really into it and back into it. And I'll definitely watch the playoffs and see the Islanders make a run at it. And they had success last season. But yeah, I think this was a nice way to remind, I guess, honestly remind everybody, hey, we're still here. I mean, it is unfortunate. I know the hockey game has not really been about the fighting and the violence as it once was. Hence, like you had Tom Wilson, as they call the enforcer. Literally, his job is to just, start stuff with players and be intimidating. And now we're more looking at the skills, your puck skills and scoring and all that. And I think this was a night. This for me, I found it as a nice check in the weirdest way. And I watched that entire game against the Capitals after I watched all 3 periods, and it's just it was just a mess. And I think now this is a chance to like breathe once we have more fans in the stands this fall as well. I think this is a good time to reflect, and you have people becoming like Panarin and Alexis Lafreniere, who could be big stars. So um I think it was just nuts, but it was a nice reminder that hockey is cool for a reason. And we also have that TV deal coming up when now they're going to ESPN and TNT. I think that's going to help the sport tremendously, and give credit to Commissioner Gary Bateman for getting that deal. I think they tripled their revenue from that deal back to cable again. And yeah, this is a good chance for us to get it back into hockey again. That's how I look at it. I'm sure you feel the same.
yeah, for sure. I haven't really been glued into hockey like I have been with baseball, with basketball, football, as you know.
Mhm.
This last season, I've tried to watch at times and really glue in, but I've staying up with those kind of top stories and storylines like that. But like
Right.
you, every year I try to commit myself, and my friends bust my chops about me saying I'm going to do it, and I don't do it. This year I kind of watched more hockey than I have before. But like you said, with the ESPN TNT deal, I think it's going to be huge
Yeah.
for the sport. A lot of access, various different things. It's going to be cool to see on TNT. I was saying it'd be cool if they did like an inside the NHL like they do for the NBA with personalities. I think that'd be awesome. I think I'd get a lot of people to tune into hockey games. So with all this, I'm super excited for the next season. And like you said, I'm going to really this time anchor down and
Oh
try
yeah.
to watch as much Ranger hockey because it's going to be an interesting time, especially with, the new moves that are going to be taking place.
Exactly. And well, we're gonna get into our Knicks, but it's funny how this switch, usually the Knicks, at least this last decade, it was the Knicks having something like this happen. But now and the Rangers were doing their thing, making deep playoff runs, but now the tables had turned, and we'll definitely get into that. But that's enough of the hockey chat. Now let's talk before we get into the three other major sports. We have to talk about big story, Alex. So, University of Hartford, our alma mater. So I'm wearing U Hart shirt now. You're wearing an American East Conference shirt. For those who are listening and aren't viewing the YouTube, big news came out of the University of Hartford last week. The University Boards of Regents voted on transitioning the University of Hartford to go from a Division I school to a Division III, expecting the transition to be complete by September 2025, approving, pending approval by the NCAA. Alex, this was a tough pill to swallow as an alumnus. The fact that after the University of Hartford makes their first NCAA Division I March Madness tournament, they go D3. We saw in baseball, no hitter was thrown by U Hart. I can't think of the guy's name at the top of my head. I'll look that up real quick. But that happened, and oh man, what a sad, unfortunate day for the university. Talk to me, Alex. You're just walk me through your initial thoughts. Tell me how you feel. You were very involved in the sports program at our time at UHart. You covered them as a student. And now we're seeing them do a transition that in my opinion, I don't think is needed or necessary. And it's just, like I said, tough to see. But Alex, for someone who is so involved at the University of Hartford athletic program as a D1 school, now going D3, how do you feel about this?
I'm heartbroken. I'm devastated, frustrated. I think a lot of us are, because we've met a lot of great people in Division One. Like you said, I worked in the sports program for pretty much all 4 years. I was a part of the student television network on campus, and that allowed me to become a producer for ESPN3, the shirt that I'm wearing now for the American East, to cover, D1 basketball for the Hartford Hawks, men's and women's, do some lacrosse games as well, do some soccer games throughout my time there, and report on them, and meet these athletes and meet these coaches. And, just to see after all the success, and all of us as alumni, current students, we were all texting each other how excited we were to be in March Madness, right? We were finally there. We finally defeat the great Albanys, the great Vermonts, UNHs, UMBCs, you name it. We finally made it, and we're all elated. And, I was listening to a John Gallagher interview, and I'm going to talk a little bit about John Gallagher, knowing him, briefly.
Yeah.
But
and who is he for the audience that doesn't know?
For the audience to know, John Gallagher is the head coach of the men's basketball team. Just listening to what he had to say, I was listening to an interview he had recently, and more or less, they couldn't really even celebrate winning or being in March Madness after they lost to Baylor. We knew what we were expecting, lost Baylor, but they couldn't really, celebrate the moment, because he walks in and pretty much hears from someone that the Board of Regents and president of University of Hartford, Gary Woodward, were pretty much voting or moving to D3. And just to hear that bothered me, because to me, and John Gallagher probably doesn't know who I am, I was a student there. But for me, my memory of John Gallagher, and it shows how great of a person he is. I was a freshman. Matt, we met, we're one of the first people to meet each other freshman year, reporting first live broadcast as STN. And, it was a Hartford Hawks home game. And I was standing there as a sideline reporter, did a few bits here and there. But my big moment was I had to interview Coach Gallagher, right? So I'm waiting there, standing there. He knows he's coming over to me. He come over to me. We're waiting to go live. He's seen me. I'm shaking. I'm so nervous. This is just head coach. I'm about to be on live TV with John Gallagher. And he sees that. And he looks at me and he taps me on the shoulder. He's like, "This is your first time doing this?" And I'm like, "Yes, sir. It's great to meet you," or whatever. And he goes, "You're going to kill it. I'm going to help you out. We're going to do this together. We're going to be fine." And just to get that reassurance from him, was so comforting. And, I asked him a few questions with the game and it went perfectly. And then I shook his hand and, his kid was around and got to meet his kids. And he was just so welcoming and nice. And that's what you hear from everyone in the sports world about Coach Gallagher. You hear it on when we were in March Madness, how he was a grinder and one of the most respected coaches. And it's true. And the fact that he's been in this program for 15 years and we've just hit maybe our best 4 years of college basketball, and we're in March Madness, just to see a guy like him and all the other coaches. Baseball's doing great. Like you said, we just had a no-hitter. The team's doing extremely well. Soccer's been extremely, successful over the years. Just to see what these coaches and players are going through now, where it just gets ripped out from them.
Yeah.
Without them even being able to talk to the president or the board of regents, it's upsetting. And like I said, to me, I got so many great opportunities. And one of the selling points for me going to the school was it was Division I, and I can get hands-on experience. I can talk to, players. I have access to coaches. I have access to, top of the line sports equipment. That was a big selling point for the school. And I'm not trying to disgrade Division III. You're a Division III athlete. You're pretty much better than most athletes.
Exactly.
Athletes in the world. But the fact that now you're ripping that from them while we're hitting tremendous strides in almost all of our sports is just disappointing. And it's upsetting to me, and it's upsetting to a lot of them that I've talked to. We don't like this decision because we have a lot of memories and we have a lot of opportunities. I've gotten career opportunities because I got to work in a Division I program and work Division I sports games. And it's just once I saw the news that it happened, I was shocked. And obviously at the end of the day, disappointed, especially with all the success that we've been having across multiple sports these last few years.
Yeah, as you said, you worked for the MLB and NBA. You're not even 30 yet, thanks to your support and help from the University of Hartford athletic program, Hartford Hawks. And by the way, Nicholas Dombrowski is the name of the person who threw the no-hitter against University of Albany, the Southpaw. And yeah, dude. I mean, when we've seen players from these programs go pretty far, we've had players play in the MLS. You had Sean Newcomb, who pitches for the Atlanta Braves.
He's still in the league pitching for the Braves. Yeah,
and like it. Listen, I get it. Your Heart may not be a big SEC school or in a Power 5 conference, but it does have a legit nice following. I won't say it's a cult following, but there's legit fans out there who will come to these games. And the students will come out for them, even if they are free. There's just so many good opportunities to get out of these, get out of the element and have some fun. There is a legit fan base here, even if it's not exactly a Power 5 conference team, but it's still a nice, loyal North New England, Northeast community with that. And I get it. It's been a weird year with COVID and the funding and all that, but I'll tell you, as much as they made us pay for that school, you're almost surprised. Where's this coming from? Where's the lost revenue? And yeah, you're just, can you imagine the athletes who, again, like you said, not taking anything away from anyone who does D3 athletics. You're still a great athlete in your own right, no matter who that man, woman, or person is. But can you imagine those who worked hard to get into a D1 school and then you're just not that it's out of their control. And again, not putting down D3 athletes, but you go to your opportunity is now in a whole different complete place. And you just wish there was some more effort or explanation, as you said. I didn't even know they didn't even make their case for it. I mean, we've seen some protests, but it's just a real shame, Alex. And I mean, where else can we go from here? What do you think? I mean, in your mind now at this point, you're going to make it the best D3 school possible, or is it going to just take a long time to get used to it? Maybe there's a miracle. What do you think? What do you hope is the best case scenario now that this decision is made?
Best case, I hope that eventually they come to their senses and realize this is not the best choice. Do I think that might be too late at this point? Maybe. I don't know how the whole process works and applying and all that stuff. I really don't know. But you're right. It's like, these athletes, the selling point is they're getting Division I sports and great academics. If you think about it, also hearing, in his interview with Gallagher too, or reading up on it, is that like it's true for few seasons, last few years, we're normally in the academic cup. Now, if people don't know what the academic cup is for the American East, there's a pretty much a trophy for the school with the best GPA among student athletes,
Mm-hmm.
and the American East Competes Board. We've won that the last few times. So these kids are not just coming here to play sports; they're here to also learn, and they're getting a great education and they get to play D1, sports. And that's what's selling them on this school, right? And like I said, as a student, I was sold on, wow, there's Division I athletics here. I didn't know that, but it's Division I athletics. Now there's, student television network, there's a radio network, you can work for the sports center at the school, there's opportunities here, right? Now, if you're taking that away, let's say, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to, diss D3 here. It's still a solid program, but it's like that was a selling point for me as a student. Now you could potentially lose that for students. Now you're saying, okay, but there's another school maybe I'm interested that's D1 and has these opportunities, and Hartford has D3 and has these opportunities, but D1 looks better on my resume, so maybe I'll go here.
Right.
Like things like that.
Of course.
Athletes too. Athletes look at that. I'm getting Division I, good education, all this stuff. So these athletes committed here, and now they don't even get it to talk about it or anything like that. Coaches can't talk about it. It's disheartening to me because, these students are making a life-altering decision. And now they've come here, and now next thing you know, they could be here, they committed here, and now they're going to start the process of Division III. Now, I know it might take a few years, so some of the people who've committed now, they'll still play D1. But it's just in the back of their mind now. Like, I made this decision and now we might move to D3 or whatever the case may be. And same with the coaches. Some of them have been here for years. Some of them are relatively new. They've come here. I have that D1 coaching experience, and then we're going to move down. And it's like, where do I go from here? And it's just tough, for these athletes, to me. And that's what hurts most, is because if you look across our sports, there's been success. There hasn't been any shortcomings.
There's Hall of Famers.
There's been Hall of Famers. Jeff Bagwell. We've had all-stars. Vin Baker in basketball. We've had players make it. To minors, to the pros. It's been all over. Professionally, a lot of our basketball players play overseas. It happens, and it's just unfortunate to see that, because I guess they want to save money, which I don't really know what, I think that's been changed after the bad press that came out when that happened. At the end of the day, it's just a decision that I feel was just kind of just quickly, they just saw numbers and just said, let's go for it, instead of looking at how this is going to impact our players, our coaches, our students. And, like I said, it was a big selling point. I don't know if it was a big selling point for you, but it was a big selling point for me about that. So I'm thinking in my head too, as a student, like, what's going to happen with, people who apply to this school? I'm hoping that Hartford is successful, but are they going to see that maybe applications are down, or they see something happening with the correlation with this move? I don't really know. I just know, for me personally, knowing that it was Division I athletics and I was able to be upfront and work there. Like you said, I worked for the MLB. I currently work for the NBA. I'm under the age of 30, and I could pretty much correlate that from what I learned.
Oh yeah,
in a Division I environment at the University of Hartford. So, just to lose that aspect, to me, just thinking over in broader terms, that's what really upset me the most, is that how is this going to impact the school going forward? We're both proud alumni, and we don't want to see the school, fall or whatever the case might be. But with something like this, you have to think what might happen, in the future for this university. So, like I said, I know I'm going on a little bit of tangent, but I know, you said
I encourage you.
Best.
Say what you need to say.
Yeah, what you want the best. And my decision is I want them to stay in Division I. But at this point, it seems that they're going to make that move, and it's up in the air at this point. But we'll see what happens. Maybe they have a change of heart with how many people are talking about this, and how many people don't want the move. So we'll see. But at the end of the day, I think they really got the wheels turning on this, and it's just unfortunate because, like you said, we've had, for basketball, one of our proudest moments as a school, and now that's getting got to be taken away for future students
Yep.
and for alumni like us going forward.
It's gonna be awkward rafters now. Yeah, I did take pride going to a D1 school, and I really wasn't familiar with the American East Conference at first, but it was nice to see what has grown out of it. And I mean, the American East school is the first school to beat a 16 over 1 seed in basketball, so it's rising. It was rising. I'm like I said, it's now awkward to see. I guess we'll see what happens in the outcome amongst. I mean, I know the the school year is over. See if what the fall or summer can bring, but we're still proud Hartford Hawks unless they change that name too for all the things they're changing on us. But I just hope for better days. Maybe stranger things that have happened. Maybe a miracle could be set, and let's get more of the incentives. That's all we hope for. And go Hawks! Hawks Nation domination forever.
Hawks Nation domination.
So let's talk some football. One thing at school UHart doesn't have, but hey, we still love our football. And we have an NFL season. So what to take in, Alex? First things first, let me ask you, do you think there'll be full stadiums week 1 of the NFL season this year as more people are getting vaccinated and seeing things come down? Do you think when we kick off in the first week of September, or I should say the second week of September, will we see the NFL stadiums packed? And do you think it's the right decision to do?
I think some stadiums will. I don't think all of them. I think it's going to be kind of a state by state basis. Like we see what's happening in Texas, I believe Florida. I know for Texas for sure with the Rangers, with their baseball stadium, they were at
they had the fight last week to the full capacity.
Day. Yeah. So we've seen some states do full capacity, and so far I haven't heard anything like massive breakouts from that. I know. Yeah, thank God, for sure. I know New York, I know they're talking about that potentially going up to full capacity soon.
Yeah.
Depending on, like you said, if you're vaccinated, there's incentives. Like if you get the vaccine, you'll get tickets or something like that. I don't know. It was like tickets and some other incentives involved, which shouldn't be the case while you should get the vaccine. But if that's the case, then that's fine. No, I don't think all of them will. I think it's really going to be a state by state kind of thing. I wouldn't mind seeing it, but I think we're going to see more than, like the couple thousand. I can see them maybe moving up to the tens of thousands and doing, I haven't been to a baseball game yet in New York. I haven't been to a Yankee or Met game. I'm pretty sure you have to show like you've had a negative test and something like that.
Negative. You have to have a negative. I confused all the tests. It's either the rules keep changing to, I don't know if it's, at least as we're recording this, releasing this on May 13th. I believe at the moment in New York, it's either a proof of full vaccination, a rapid COVID test within 6 hours, which I don't know how that's possible. Or I'm not sure the other COVID test that you have to test negative within 72 hours. I don't know the name, but we'll go with that.
Yeah.
So bottom line, you either need a negative COVID test or a fully vaccinated car in the tri-state area within the 3 states. I will say I did see a quote from Governor Murphy. He said, good chance that MetLife Stadium might have some full crowds. The schedule was released the day before the day after this recording, so I don't know which first game that would be, but yeah, I would say, I figure, as we're recording this in May and we get close to September, that is 4 months away. I'd like to think with the push to get enough vaccines that it is safe to keep growing that number. I know it's 33% in the baseball stadiums now. I'd like to think September you could get that number higher. Again, I'm no expert in this. I'm just did my part getting fully vaccinated. I'm ready to go for, as you said, my safety and then the benefit of going to a game again. So I'd like to just think with the progress we're making, there's a good chance we should at least get at least half or more, and I'll take it. I don't know if you will, how you feel, but I would take at least 50%. But I think trusting the people who are smarter than us and this know what they're doing, we should slowly get back to normal life. And who can't, nothing could beat a fun game to go to. How do you feel?
No, I totally agree. I think the number will increase as time goes on. Again, I don't know. Like, I feel like, come week, like, one of the NFL season, like, I don't know if there'll be, I feel like they're going to want to like tease it a little. Like, okay, let's have this game at like 50, see how it goes. Okay, next game we'll
Mm-hmm.
do like 70. And then by
Mm-hmm.
week 3, we'll do full. Like, I feel like some states might go that route instead of jumping in like full 100% capacity. But again, I'm no expert on this. But me. I have my parents. My dad is a season ticket holder for the Giants, so that's
Mm-hmm.
been like a huge discussion for us. Is like how they do in attendance, how many people are going to be allowed. If is it just going to be season ticket holders only for first few weeks, or are we going to get in a lottery? So we'll see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
it's
must
like
be
it's
anticipating
tough.
that.
Yeah. So I'm like fully vaccinated. My whole family is. So it's like would I feel kind of comfortable maybe like going back to the stadiums? Yeah, most likely. Come September, you hope that most people have the vaccine, or if you're going to a game like that where there's a lot of people, that they'll have some stipulation that, like you said, like the same with baseball, it's like you have to have a negative test or you have to show your fully vaccinated card. Um, you know, the kind of return back to that normalcy. And so far, we're kind of hoping we're trending in that right direction where that can happen. But
Yeah.
I was telling my dad, it's like, if let's just say they do something where it's like if you're vaccinated, you have a negative test, that to be out feel a little bit more comfortable going back to like a MetLife or City or a Yankee, then it just be like 100% capacity, no guidelines, anything like that. If there's some sort of,
Like in the
kind
southern
of, yeah,
states.
yeah, like, just come to the stadium, like, where it's happening down there, where it seems, in Texas, stuff like that. It's like, yeah, we're having 100% capacity. Um, but here, I'm just like, like you said, like, I'm just hoping we'll have a little bit more fans. Me and my dad were wondering what's happening with the Giants, but it's just in other sports, especially like now, like we hope to see more fans for playoff basketball at
Mm-hmm.
MSG and Barclays. We'll dive into that a little bit, but it's like, you know, if there's guidelines in place, like I said, I'll feel more comfortable. So we'll see what happens. But I think hopefully at some point during, the NFL season, the football season, that we'll at least have, 70% capacity at most stadiums. But again, I'm not, or more. I'm not an expert on this, so I don't know for sure, but that's what I'm hoping for, because last season, you could tell that it was kind of dull at the games. The fans, there's not a lot of fans in stands. It would just be great to kind of be back there first off, or just be watching and seeing the fans. And it's true, like these athletes need the fans. It's just like
Oh yeah.
a thing. It fires them up. So the more fans in the arena, the better. And we just have to hope that more people get vaccinated and there's more things out there, more science on this, and that, we can return kind of hopefully to stadium safely and kind of start that getting back to, sports normalcy and normalcy in life in general.
Yeah, I think it's time. It really is time now to get in the right direction. I think, I said 50% just to be safe, but it is time to get as close to 100 as possible and trusting the right people and making the right decisions. I think it's time to finally enjoy life for what it is and make up for the year lost. And we will. And I think that's a great step now, is seeing sports games have fans back. Now seeing like the theater community, Broadway planning for September of full shows. Now the concert community is coming back. It's time for these communities that really had no chance to get their revenue back or momentum, and now help those industries as well. So I think this is just a good sign to have the fans and let football be the one to show it's safe to go out. And I think they really will make that push for that. So with that, now focusing on the teams itself, let's hit on our Giants, Alex. New York Giants, and the whole thing will obviously hit on the league, but focusing on our New York Football Giants first. What an off season by David Gettleman. Tell me your initial thoughts from huge signings to a draft that was very interesting. Before we get into those specifics, just tell me how you feel Gettleman did as a whole, and if you could give a possible grade A to F on your initial thoughts. Now, obviously, down the line, we'll actually have a good grade. But with how things have been going and what you've seen, how do you think Gettleman did this offseason?
I give him a B plus.
Big plus.
I think a B plus, trending towards A minus. Um, I also just want to say, get him out, but I also think there's a little bit of what I call the Joe Judge effect happening with this too. But I was super excited just to see kind of us getting back to our not aggressive, but back to our kind of smart ways of free agent additions.
Yeah.
We saw that kind of a few years ago. I know Jerry Reese, right before he got fired, he kind of just like threw money at people and it worked. And we didn't need to throw money at people, but it was kind of like, the guys that we're going to hit, we need to, successfully target and get these guys in. Which, I think for the most part worked wonders. I think that mentality of, Kenny Galladay comes in, don't let him leave. They like hang out with him all day, and then he leave, you had to go back because like it was like the end of the day, and it was like, all right, you go down, and then you come back. Like getting a guy like Kenny Galladay.
Yeah.
You need like a veteran, trusted guy. We hope he stays healthy this year, but like just get that big kind of target receiver for Daniel. We know the kind of receiver Galladay is. You throw it up in the air, he can come down and catch it. He's just a great all-around receiver. We just have to hope he stays healthy. Like that was a target we needed. We needed our prime guy. We saw last year, we thought, like Slayton was going to take a step, but he's not a true, number one receiver. He's more of a two. And then same thing with Shepard. He's more of like a slot guy. We can't really have him be reliable. And then Ingram, is like kind of a universal tight end weapon, but we know his drop issues and certain things that he had all year. He's somehow a Pro Bowler. Just to get a steady receiver for Daniel now that we know, okay, like Galladay is going to be a guy like we had, Odell a few years ago, where Eli was like, I'm going to get you a ball on a slant, you're going to go. With Galladay, it's like, I'm going to get you the ball in the air, you're going to come down with it, whatever. He's going to make plays, right? We needed a kind of a play wide receiver. And then, our secondary was pretty solid last season. The addition of James Bradbury was great, but we need another guy. Adoree Jackson is that kind of young guy, kind of middle-aged veteran guy, but has all the potential to be a great second-hand complimentary guy to Bradbury. Like, I thought that was a fantastic signing for the Giants, just to get someone like him in, to help bolster our secondary. And then, going into the draft, we didn't know what to expect. And then we'll dive into the draft a little bit, but like him, again, I don't know if it was Joe Judge either, but Gettleman, who never traded down, finding the Bears, who definitely are panicking for a QB, were mainly, they're panicking for the guy. So Gettleman was like, you know what, I'm trading down. And all of us were like, when we got the news, we're like, Gettleman traded down in the draft? What? And then he ends up getting a first, like a third. He got a fantastic haul for the 11th pick, to move down. And then we draft, Tony, or a gadget receiver who I really like, who is just quick. And
A.K. Young Joker, the rapper.
We like, he's a fan favorite of ours. He's constantly hurt. He misses like 6 games every year for various ailments. To have a guy like him, Tony come in, and the rest of the draft, we target edge rusher. We got more depth in the secondary. I know we didn't hit offensive line, but you never know. We can sign a veteran in the offseason, or, undrafted free agent or whatever. It could be a hit. Overall, I was just very happy as a Giants fan with the offseason Gettleman had. I was very surprised, but again, just super happy. And there seems to be a lot of promise going forward for the Giants.
Yes, I think as a whole, looking at the acquisitions this offseason, I feel like this is Daniel Jones's. He's given everything, and like, not to be honest, if he can't win with what he's given now, we might have to take another look. We might have to look at other options. If Daniel Jones, he's got the veteran receivers, he's got, I said, a more experienced offensive line. We only added one other one from the Texans. His name blanking right now. His name, excuse me. You have Zach Fulton, the veteran guard, who joins us now, but we have returning Willie Hernandez and Nate Soldiers coming back from not playing because of COVID last year, and the line really stepped up towards the end of it. So I think we were okay there. And then you also don't forget we added Kyle Rudolph is our. I don't. I guess they're gonna try to do the two tight ends formations and have on each side. And you can have a wide receiver. You technically have two Pro Bowl tight ends there somehow, some way. But also don't forget Kyle Rudolph barely drops the ball as well. He only had 3 in the last 2 seasons. And they're also just genuine good blockers. So, and big thing here, you have Saquon Barkley coming back. It's like signing a major running back. And like I said, now this is all Daniel Jones. This is his game. And you know what, Alex? If he can't win with what he's given now, it looks like he wasn't our guy. Do you think Daniel Jones is going to go in the right direction, or are we going to be looking for another quarterback next season?
I mean, I hope it goes in the right direction for our sake, right?
Yeah.
But you're right. It's just the weapons that are coming back. Saquon is gonna be ready week 1, or at least reports are saying he's gonna be ready for week 1 coming back.
He looked cool on Instagram.
Yeah, he's looked like a beast working this ACL injury, coming back, working alongside his former teammate in Odell. So it's the weapons that we gave him. And I know a lot of people are like, we didn't address offensive line in the draft. And to me, and talking with some of my friends, it's just that I feel like with Joe Judge and Gettleman, and I could be wrong here, but I feel like maybe they thought that they had depth in other positions, but it's like we won't draft offensive linemen because we like the guys that we have and we don't want them to feel that they're going to be replaced right away. And we got to see how they are. I could be totally wrong. But that was kind of my mindset. But just with Daniel, about with him, it's just that the weapons that we gave him and everything that you have to have success. And if he struggles again, then it just clearly shows that he's not our guy. And the thing is, and as awful as it sounds, is that we do have the Bears' first round pick. And they're most likely going to have, Justin Fields start at least at some point in the season. I don't know how many games Andy Dalton's going to start. So if that's the case, at worst, that pick's going to be top 15. At best, the pick's going to be a top 5 pick.
The Bears aren't really projected to do that well in their tough division. I don't think they're going to be making any strides, though they did make the playoffs last year. I do think it's more of a rebuilding year. So that's going to go in our advantage. And, watch out. One person that's really good, that's held his own when he started playing center, was Nick Gates. He didn't allow a sack last season. And you saw like in the Rams game, he was doing pretty well holding down Aaron Donald and stuff. So he's hasn't just another year on his back. And then I know Willie Hernandez has some concerns, but he does have some talent in there. And you have Andrew Thomas again, who also made some strides. We did way better as the season progressed. I just feel that we had some replacements we needed to get in the especially the pass rush when Thomason left and stuff. So I think we're in a good spot. And I think like you said, it's Daniel Jones's position to lose, and he probably has the most to prove out of any quarterback in the entire league.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, we're going to hope for success, but it looks like they're putting foundations in place for him to be successful, right? At the end of the day, for Daniel to be successful. So, we just have to see. And the thing is, and a lot of people are forgetting, is that hopefully these players are going to have a full offseason and OTAs. So, I know a lot of people were bashing Thomas at the beginning of last year. He was a rookie without training camp or OTAs. So you have to think about that. And I know there's other people you can look at the draft and, these other offensive linemen, Becton and all these other guys did great. It's like, yeah, that's true. But some people can start right away and some people would take some adjustment period. And like you said, Thomas looked better towards the end of the season. And I feel like coming in this year, full training camp, full OTAs, and hopefully Nate Solder as a guy who's been a successful tackle in this league, as a veteran, kind of as a mentor to him, only things can happen. So, like you said, Daniel Jones has a lot to prove because the Giants aren't messing around. We got another first-round pick from the Bears, and like you said, he really has to prove something here because if not, the Giants have 2 first-round picks. They can potentially move those and
Yeah.
get their quarterback that they want. Unless they, like I said, unless the Bears might struggle and we have a top 5 pick anyway, and there's a guy that they like, then they could do it there. But if that's not the case, let's say the Bears have something, Justin Fields plays hot and they go on some hot run, and it's well, and the Giants or wherever, they can use those 2 picks and maybe more to move up to get their guy. So for sure, Daniel has a lot on his plate this year, and I hope that he succeeds because we gave him all the weapons that he can ask for, including wide receiver depth this year. So we just have to kind of see what happens going forward. But again, this should be a very interesting year and hopefully a successful year for the Giants.
I think so. It's our time now. You have you have the Eagles. They're a mess.
Yeah,
I know they have a new coach. I love it, but we hate them because they clearly in the draft trading with the Cowboys out of all teams to have specifically the pick before us, hosing us down 6 months earlier. Did not play their heart out to lose and costing us a playoff spot. Just more of an incentive to hate the Eagles more than anything. And having said that, though, we weren't able to get Devontae Adams, but we have Kadarius Toney. Now, people say he might be the biggest steal of the draft. He's like a Tyreek Hill figure. He probably play even special teams. And don't forget, Joe Judge is a special teams coach over everything, special teams coach specialist. I think having that, like, he can figure out a way to make him like another Devin Hester. Do you think this is the biggest steal in the draft? You excited for Kadarius Toney, aka Young Joker, the rapper, as well? I don't know if you saw any of his SoundCloud, but he's not bad. Pretty good.
Yeah, I was kind of upset because I wanted Devontae Smith and then the Eagles.
Oh, sorry, Adam. Sorry, Devontae Smith. Sorry.
And I kind of wanted to see him in a Giant uniform, but it's okay. I was like, all right. So we trade down. We got that first one. Once we trade down, and I saw the haul we got. I was like, all right, we're good. And to get a guy like Toney, and talking with my dad, because a lot of people are like, oh, this is kind of a reach. But like you said, like if you see some of his highlights, like the dude's hard to tackle. He breaks out of tackles constantly. He just flies on the field. He has the speed. And I think Judge can use him in a lot of different places. Like, would I love him to be the next Devin Hester? Absolutely. But the problem was Devin Hester was a special teams specialist and not really the best of receiver. He had moments where he was very good, but I'm just saying, like, Toney seems to be like hopefully the complete package. Like, he can be a special team threat. He can be a perfect slot receiver. He can be a perfect gadget guy. You can get him out there. He has great speed. He can get downfield in a hurry. So he seems like the competent player. And the one thing that I saw, and I know, he's going to be like, in the NFL for the Jaguars head coach, but the fact that Urban Meyer, who I think most of us respect as a talent evaluator, saying that it broke his heart that the Giants took Toney before they can take him at 25, just shows that maybe he could be a special player in this league, and that's all we can hope for. And like you said, I think Judge has a lot of plans for him, which is why we took him where we did, because like you said, he can be a special teams threat. But you can get him out in gadget plays. You can get him out in the slot. And like you said, maybe you can have him do the home run plays. So I really like him. And I think, he could be a great fit for the Giants going forward.
So as we wrap up the NFL chat, I just want to name some teams who made some crazy moves, big moves. I just want to see if you can give me a few thoughts on the teams. Houston Texans, are they the biggest mess in the history of the NFL right now? Do you think they're going 0-16 bad, or do you think they have some games they can salvage with everything going on, losing veterans? Who knows what's going on with Deshaun Watson, the new coach that people were disappointed to get. You think the Texans are anything?
I think they're gonna struggle. I think they're in a really tough spot. Obviously, what's going on with Deshaun Watson, is not great. We don't condone any of that stuff.
Absolutely.
So, we got to see what happens there. Again, though, he's definitely going to be suspended by the NFL at this point with the amount of allegations against him.
Yeah.
Especially if he is, proven guilty on some of these cases. So they are a mess. And the mess started before this new head coach came in, before whatever it was, when they traded DeAndre Hopkins and got
that's what started
nothing in return. That to me is start the absolute downturn on an aging running back who's been injured the last 2 seasons and a second-round pick and a couple other picks. Nothing worthwhile. And if you look at it, to me, DeAndre Hopkins, you can argue, is probably one of the best, if not the best receiver in football. If you look at compared to what the Giants got, compared to what DeAndre Hopkins got, the Giants won the trade pretty much at the end of the day. The Browns did well as well. But I'm just saying, the Giants got a first-round pick, and if you look at it, you got Kevin Zeitler, who was solid for a few years, and Jabril Peppers, who's turned into a great, pretty good safety for us.
Oh yeah.
Compared to what the Texans got, the Giants did very well. To me, like the Giants getting a first-round pick and the players that they got, compared to the Texans should have at least gotten like 2 first-round picks. Potentially, they should have gotten at least 1 first-round pick.
Yeah, right.
Potentially 2 second-round picks. They should have gotten an absolute haul for him. And seeing that trade, I'm like, the Cardinals just pulled off highway robbery for this guy. And that's when I kind of started to realize, like, the Texans are a lot more dysfunctional than I really thought. And you saw that this whole offseason.
Like,
with everything Texans and JJ Watt leaving, it's just a bit of a mess. But you can go with what you want to say, Matt.
I was just gonna say, I wouldn't be surprised if they relocated by the end of the decade the way they've been dwindling down. And I mean, I'm not in Houston to confirm to like what's it like down there, but geez, how could they go? It seems they're even losing faith, and it just shows. It just shows.
Yeah. No, it definitely does. I mean, to go from being an AFC contender for the first 5-6 years, with the JJ Watt era, I should say, then Watson, they're being a playoff team, consistent playoff team till now, where you're kind of talking, like you said, like, are they going to win a game this year? Like who? Like,
yeah, you have Tyrod Taylor playing.
Yeah, you might win a few, but like from what we know, the Texans, were consistent. Like I said, pretty much up until that DeAndre Hopkins trade. It's just to see the complete like 180 from this team to go from AFC South contender, consistent playoff, guy, or at least fighting for the playoffs in the AFC South, to now probably being one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in the NFL. It could happen. We don't know. There could be weird things that happen this year as well. But on paper, they're just an absolute mess, especially with a new head coach coming in. Yeah. So who knows? But yeah, it's going to be a very weird year. And like you said, I think a lot of us are kind of waiting to see what happens with Watson and the whole situation that's going on there.
Definitely.
So yeah, we'll see. It's been a very, very weird offseason for the Texans, to say the least.
Now, one person you mentioned, Urban Meyer, Jacksonville Jaguars, bringing in Trevor Lawrence. Tim Tebow coming back, but let's be real, he's not making the team. But that is something.
Tebow Mania, sell those jerseys, man.
That is true. I'd be very surprised if he is. But do you think the Jaguars are gonna be lit? Is Trevor Lawrence going to give them, like, now? Are they going to be competitive? Are they going to be worth the hype?
I don't know if they're going to be competitive right away, but at least they have their franchise quarterback and the foundation to start something. I mean, we already know that the Jaguars defense has always been consistent. I know, they got rid of Jalen Ramsey and a few other their big names when they kind of were dismantling the team. But I think they could start to be successful. They have their guy, and like we know, Trevor Lawrence is arguably one of the most hyped quarterbacks. It's probably Andrew Luck, in my opinion. Peyton Manning and those guys coming out. So if he has all the tools to be there, they have some weapons there. But they have the foundation to start competing. I don't know if it's going to be right away, especially with a rookie quarterback, with the expectations of Trevor Lawrence. It might take them a little while to adjust into the league. But, we've seen Urban Meyer and the way he's built college programs. And I know the NFL is completely different. But I think this is kind of going to be a good start and a good era for the Jaguars football. They have their new coach, who we've known to be, one of the most successful college coaches. I know sometimes it does translate to the NFL, but I think Urban Meyer, is a great coach. And, I just hope for success in Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence. He's so excited watching college, and I hope he continues that. on the NFL level. But I don't think they're going to be vying for the playoffs, but who knows? Maybe they do. They have a great, great season, but at least they have the foundational pieces there to start building something special in Jacksonville.
Definitely. All right. Just two final thoughts with football. One, the New York Jets. Robert Saleh is your new coach. They obviously traded Zach Wilson. People were very intrigued with their other first round pick, trading up for Elijah Vera Tucker, who people think that he might be actually the best guard in the game in this draft. Do you think the Jets are going to break their stigma? Is Saleh finally the guy to break them out of their strides? Is Zach Wilson finally is finally the franchise quarterback that actually gives them success? Is anything going on with the Jets going to finally make them more respected?
I was texting my friend during this draft. I was extremely impressed with the Jets draft this year. But I was messaging how I felt bad for Sam Darnold during the draft, just because, I know that he's in Carolina now, and hopefully he has like a second wind and does well there, and they finally give him some pieces there, which it looks like they have. But to see what the Jets drafted, you have to think in your head, like, what was Sam Darnold thinking during the draft? Because you think they take their quarterback, then they take a guard, then they get him weapons, then they do like literally everything that Sam's been asking for his first 3 years. They do that in one draft for their new quarterback, Zach Wilson. So, I was very impressed. I think this is, if Zach Wilson is successful, which, the Jets fans are praying for at this point, because it's going to be brutal for them if two guys they took, top 3 overall, don't pan out. I think
I don't know what you do at that point.
Yeah, I have no idea. I think with what, the haul that, not the haul, but the draft that Douglas had was very smart, very targeted. Getting Elijah Vera Tucker, I thought, was a fantastic move.
Yeah, trading up for him too.
Now you have like pretty much your left-hand side with Becton and Vera Tucker there. And just building around, Zach Wilson, it seems that they're kind of starting to trend that the right direction. And if Wilson has success, then I think they're going to do well, especially if the way Douglas is going to build the team, the way that he seems to be building it. Like, I'm going to build this team now around you. So you just got to hope for that. And for Jets fans, I always, feel bad because it seems that things happen to them. And they don't exist, but you just got to hope that Zach Wilson comes in and gives them a little bit of success. But I think the future is bright for the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big moment. They are the NFL's longest playoff drought, and if they don't win this year, it officially is ties the franchise season 11 straight seasons with now one playoff appearance. And then, last but not least, the biggest story in the NFL on draft day was not the draft. But it was a story that Adam Schefter broke of Aaron Rodgers wanting out of Green Bay. Now, Alex, do you think, let me just ask straight on, is Aaron Rodgers a Packer week 1 of the NFL season?
At this point, yes.
Really? Tell me why you think so.
I thought, and I could be wrong here, I think yes, because I thought if it was going to happen, because the story broke on draft day, right? Mm-hmm. I would think that the 49ers would have, in which they supposedly did offer the Packers something and the Packers said no. I would have thought if something were to happen, it would happen on draft day, because I think the 49ers would have the best package, was giving him the 3rd pick, Jimmy Garoppolo.
Exactly.
And maybe a few other draft picks to get Rodgers. Now that didn't happen. Now, it's like, now if you look at it, the really place that Rodgers could end up would be Denver. So it all depends. And, I think he'd be there. Like, I think he's going to be on the roster. Is he going to be there week 1 of the season? That's yet to be seen. But I think that at this point, there's not a lot of places to me that I think the Packers would get the haul that they want. And I think it seems that they're really going to hold on for dear life here, because it just seems that there's some draft day offers and they shot him down and said, no, he's our guy.
Yeah.
So I'd be very surprised to see him being moved. I know that I don't know when the date is, but I know there's a deadline in terms of this contract that like he has to be moved pretty much by a certain date. Otherwise, it's going to be like a huge cap hit. So we'll see what happens in the next few weeks. But I think right now, I think the Packers are going to hold firm and try to force him to either play or, like he said, he might legitimately retire, pull Le'Veon Bell, take the year off, and then maybe he'll go sign with the 49ers or whoever, which I don't know how that works out. But we'll see what happens. But I think at this point, I don't really see the Packers aggressively trying to move him.
Now, obviously, the story very media driven. I've heard reports about Jordan Love still has a way to go and stuff like this. So that's just really hard to grasp what the actual narrative is. But beyond that, we just know that Rodgers is upset. Give me your honest opinion, Alex. Do you think he had the right to be upset? Does he have the right to cause this mess? Seeing these other quarterbacks get paid, but he has been getting, not getting his request to help the team in the offense line. Obviously, NFC Championship, kicking it instead of going for it on fourth down, giving the ball back to the Bucs that they never got back in the game. Are you basically on Rodgers' side in this, or are you more of the Packers side?
I'm definitely on Rodgers' side of this. Mm-hmm. It's not mainly from last offseason. It's just from the last few years. I would be annoyed if I was him. There's clear signs of positions that they needed, and the Green Bay kept on actively ignoring him. They pick a quarterback. He's and Devontae Adams is a special receiver. He had a special year this year, but he needed another guy. You can't just throw the Devontae Adams every single time. Like he pretty much was this season. He's been asking for that for years. He's been asking for different pieces on the offensive line. You can just tell that he just wanted things. He wanted the Packers to hear him out. I want a wide receiver. I want maybe a competent tight end. I want this. Hear him out. Don't take a first round quarterback who you might not plan to play for a few years. When you're in the prime of Aaron Rodgers' career right now, when you clearly need a receiver or an offensive lineman or defense, you need a corner to go next, Jair Alexander or whatever. Like he's very justified in being annoyed. If I was him, I would be annoyed too, because it's like they're not. It's like, why aren't you hearing me? Like I brought all your success. I'm your franchise quarterback. Hear me out. If Tom Brady asked for a wide receiver, we'll go out with Tom Brady.
That was exactly what I was gonna bring up.
He asked for Antonio Brown. He gets Antonio Brown. Like there's other, you look around. You can even look at the Giants. Like Gettleman, I'm gonna get you another weapon. We're bringing in Tony. I'm giving you Galladay. Like the Packers could have gone after Galladay. They didn't. How crazy would it be if they had Devontae Adams and Kenny Galladay? That's two really good wide receivers for Aaron Rodgers. Like there's certain things that you can just tell that he just got built up frustration, because it's like what else do I need to ask for? And supposedly, the Jordan Love pick really bothered him because they didn't talk to him about it. They didn't say, hey, we're looking at this guy, is it cool if we take him? But we're looking at Jordan Love. Maybe what do you think about him? Would you want him in the quarterback room with you? Maybe something like that, right? They were just like, no, we're trading up and we're going to take him. And it's like, wait, what? Now, like, you're playing my successor, but I'm still like playing at MVP level. And we really need some other things other than a quarterback right now. So I'm totally on his side of him being frustrated and him wanting out. If I was him, I probably would have started saying something maybe towards the beginning of the offseason to maybe get the Packers wheels turning on and making a move instead of waiting until draft day for the story to really break. But again, he could have been keeping it private, and then more and more so it started becoming more public that he's talked to some people in the front office, and that got out to Schefter, and he reported it. So I'm definitely on Rodgers' side though, because there's clear signs of why he is frustrated and why he wants out for sure.
Excellent points, Alex. And like you were alluding to, look what the Bucs, they really did make it make or break. We're going all in on Brady's demands, and they won the Super Bowl, and they beat a really great Chiefs team to win it too. And Rodgers just wanted that to happen to him, and it didn't. And now it's been on awkward few weeks, and time will tell what's going on. So we'll quickly hit on the National Basketball Association. Alex, where do I start? Let's just get the elf out of the room. The New York Knicks. Who would have thought, Alex, with a week to go? Well, less than a week. The season ends on Sunday.
Yeah.
In 5 days, the New York Knicks looks like, unless they collapse, I really don't think with 4 games to go they can win at least 2 of them. But it really looks like the Knicks are going to be a 4th seed, if not a 5th seed. But all in all, the Knicks are not going to be in the play-in tournament. When we saw the play-in tournament, we thought that's for us. If we get this play-in tournament, it'll be huge. But no, we're not going to. It looks like we're not going to do it. We're a playoff team. The New York Knicks are a playoff team in 2021. Isn't it something after this life-changing pandemic? Then the Knicks are good again. Where do we start with Thibs to playing defense to Julius Randle turning into a top 10 NBA player, arguably? RJ Barrett is turning into a legit star himself. Emmanuel Quickly, it looks like he could be a legit player. Derrick Rose is resurrected. Nerlens Noel's resurrected too. Taj Gibson even. The Knicks, Alex, talk to me. How you feeling about the Knicks? We finally, since I've known you, we've waited for this day that this could happen, and the Knicks have respect, all in all respect. How do you feel about the Knicks, Alex?
I'm just so happy and excited that, I know it's weird because it's a different year, but actually no, not else. But we're in May, pretty much, the playoffs are usually a little bit earlier, but we're in May and we get to talk that the Knicks are going to be in the playoffs, and that's just super exciting. We haven't had that in a long time, so, and just with this team, like you said, who would have thought, we got Tibbs coming in, and we're like, okay, he's going to help these young guys, right? He's a young guy coach. He's going to work them hard. And then we're like, we'll play in, maybe 8th seed at best. If not, we'll miss the playoffs by a little, right? But we'll have promise. This is finally promise. Yeah. And then it's like, well, Julius Randle's working hard in the offseason. Okay, this is looking good. And then he comes in, he starts dominating, and Tibbs getting him. Like I said, I just early on when we talked, a few months ago about this, it's just that, like, it just seemed that Tibbs, and I understand a lot of people are like, well, Randle's not a minutes thing, but it's like Tibbs got him the ball in areas where he could be successful. It wasn't ISO ball like last year where all the Knicks fans, he's not us. We need to trade him. He's not an ISO player. He's not our star. He's not going to do this. It's like, well, Randle put in the work in, but it's like Tibbs is like, I'm going to get you successful. I'm going to get you the ball where you're hot, where you're comfortable. We're going to get you the ball. And like you said, RJ, it was huge for RJ to come into his own this year and prove that, he wasn't a bust or whatever. I know it's early on. I said usually you have to wait 3 years, but a lot of people are like, maybe he's not our guy, compared to seeing the early success of Zion and John Morant. To see him come into his own and him dominate some games too, just to have those two going forward is going to be huge. But just to be us to be the 4th seed, like I didn't even see us being the 4th. Like you said, it was us maybe playing at best. We'll see what happens. But the 4th seed, it just, you just have to tip your hats off to Tibbs, the whole coaching staff. I know Mike Woods had left, but it was really cool to see when he was back in the Garden. Julius Randle signed a jersey for him, gave it to him. All the players going over and hugging him. It's just really cool to see this atmosphere that we have, and it's not, like we didn't put a bunch of veterans together and whatever and superstars together to have success. It's a bunch of young guys playing hard every day, and I think really the moment that made me smile the most was this recent road trip and the huge Clippers. I think that was like a monumental win for the season. I think that might have been the best Knicks win of the year. Going on the road, we needed a big win. It was against the Clippers, and
they needed to win too.
Yeah, they needed a big win too. And it's like maybe we escaped with a win, maybe not. But the fact that we came out, played really well, escaped with a win, and now going on these last few games of the season where it's a little bit easier. We should be winning at least 2 out of the next 3. I know Boston, they have the up and downs. I know they're last.
And they lost Jaylen Brown too.
Yeah, they lost Jaylen Brown. I know they've been up and down, but you never know. Jason Tatum could drop 50, but I think it's San Antonio, Charlotte, and then Celtics, if I'm not mistaken. They should win at least 2 out of 3, solidify the 4 seed. But yeah, no, it's been an awesome season. I think this is one of the first times in years that I literally been on my phone, like MSG Go, watching the Knicks on my TV, whatever. Like I've been waiting for Knicks games to start, and usually, I know come the weird year with the NBA and everything with the pandemic, but it's like usually in years prior by midway through the season after the All-Star break, it was like, well, it was a good run. All right, I don't even watch the Knicks. Now it's like I need to watch them every night. We got to see what's going on, and yeah, it just tips to everyone. Coach Tibbs, like I said, the coach staff and the players. And just Julius Randle, I guess he was hearing what Knicks fans are saying. I've always been a big fan of Julius Randle. I know last year a lot of people were upset with him, and I might have talked with you about this too. Is that, like I said, we have to wait. He's not an ISO player. We have to see.
Yeah,
we got to get someone that does make him an ISO player, and now we see that. He's good in similar single ISO moments when he's hot and stuff like that. But it's like get a ball in his hot spots, and he'll carry us. And just to see him say, "I'm going to work on my game this offseason. I'm going to be the first one there, last one to leave mentality." You hear the great story about what he learned from Kobe and how he's taking that into this season. And now these young guys are doing that too. We see quickly, like after games, shooting up like 600 shots and all these other guys too. It's like really great to see these young guys really committed. And, it's showing the success that they had. And we just want to have that going forward. We have a young core going forward, and we hope, like I was telling someone the other day, if we had Mitch Robinson, this would be an even greater thing. And unfortunately, he hurt his foot again. But it's like if we had that piece there, all of us would be like, oh my God, but this is our future. But now we know it's like, okay, we need to keep Julius here. RJ's coming with his own. We get Mitch back next season. Let's see what success we have. But just this has been such a fun year.
Yeah.
And it's something that we all needed, especially after this pandemic year and everything. But it's been such a fun year as a Knicks fan to finally feel success. And I'm just super excited for the postseason.
And how about D-Rose too? What he's matured into. He been all over the place from the T-Wolves to the Pistons. Was a Knick for a hot minute in 16 and then came back here. And he's just, you got to be just so happy for him because we know he's that body made of glass. It's turning into like driving down the lane and being a veteran presence. How you feel about D Rose's resurrection?
Yeah, I always loved D Rose. He did have a pretty successful year. A lot of people forget, like he's had successful seasons when but it just wasn't at the caliber that we know him.
Definitely,
it wasn't his MVP year, youngest MVP in the league, and he had his unfortunate injuries. But he's still been a very successful player. It just wasn't like the D Rose that we all grew up watching. And we're like, oh my God, this guy's gonna be incredible. But he's still very successful. And when we made that trade, my dad was like, why do we need another guard? We're going to take minutes away from some people. And since Knicks fans too, we're losing minutes from Quickly and all these other players. It's like we needed that veteran guard to help Quickly. We needed that veteran guard to help this team to like keep everyone together. He obviously knows Tibbs. He's pretty much been with Tibbs his whole career at this point. So I knew coming in, I was like, if he can be that veteran guy that he was in the Pistons or even the Timberwolves, where he has those flashes of moments and it really helps us, like it's going to be great for this team. And it proved that he's come back and he was like quickly a team guy, cared about everyone, really is helping everyone learning. And like you said, these last few games, he just been balling out. And it's something that, was needed. We needed a guy like that, a good scoring punch out of the bench or starting. And to see him kind of have this nice little resurgence right before the postseason is great. But he was definitely a key veteran that I was super happy to get. And I always respect Derrick Rose, and it shows that. And I think like the moment for me that I was like, he's like a Knick. Like this is like the guy we needed was when Mitch Robinson went down and Mike Breen broke it to him and he could tell how upset he was. Like he was like, like I didn't know that. I'm hoping he's all right. And I was like, wow, like, obviously it's an injury, but it's like, wow, like you could tell like how upset he was that he's been here for like a couple weeks and he's already, like caring about every single person on this team. So it's been awesome. And I've been a true D Rose supporter. I love him in a Knicks uniform and I hope he continues success. He's definitely a guy that was needed to be here to bolster the roster. And it's been definitely working dividends. And like you said, Emmanuel Quickly being there, learning from Derrick Rose, like I can't complain about that at all. Or some of these other guys,
Yeah.
Archie Barrett too. It's like the perfect mentor guy, and just to see him have the confidence back and playing well, it's just been awesome to see.
As you mentioned, with Mitch going down and Nerlens Noel, the veteran, coming in, how about him though? He's one of the most underrated centers in this whole league now, getting so many blocks, turnovers. I mean, these players, I mean, holding on against like Joel in some of the games we've seen. And how about him and what he's been doing, getting on those boards too?
Yeah, I've been also I really like Nerlens. Just watching him last year, working. I was mainly on OKC Thunder games, so I got to see a lot of Nerlens as well. When I signed the
How about
Knicks,
that?
when I signed the Knicks, signed him, I was excited because I know what he brings to a team, and that's just great defense. And he's a young guy; like he's been in the league for a while, but I think he's like 28 or 29 now. Like he's like one of those like kind of or he might be younger. He's like I don't know, but he's one of those considered like one of those kind of younger veterans that's been in the league for a while.
He's 27.
Yeah, he's 27. So he's been in the league for a little bit while, and it's funny because he's like technically a younger player, but his skill set is kind of perfect in like not like short spurts, but his skill set is just so good on the defensive end.
Yeah.
And Tibbs brings that out of him. And he's been elevated to take this bigger responsibility, and it's shown. We brought him in like, okay, he's going to complement Mitch really well. But now it's like, okay, we need you to step up. And he has, like you said, shot blocking, key rebounds, causing turnovers. It's like the reason why we brought him in, to be that defensive specialist coming off the bench. And he's done that. So I'm super happy for his success as well. I've always liked his game. I think he's, like you said, a very underrated defensive center in this league. A lot of people forget about him, but he does everything extremely well in the defensive end. And it's been showing, down the stretch here, after the Robinson injury. We needed him to step up, and he has. So
shouts to Noel for that. Yeah. And just on the Knicks fandom part of this, Alex, one of the true, I can honestly say, and I take this bragging right very seriously, how we truly were Knicks fans through this real awful stretch, from Fizdale to Kurt Rambis to Derek Fisher and Hornacek until we got Thibodeau. Like, we've seen some bad stuff, and people always make fun of us from it. And I'm working on right now getting these shots of people making fun of the Knicks right now to show. And how do you feel as a Knicks fan, your loyalty finally being rewarded?
It feels great. It really does. It brings a smile to my face that we're getting the respect that, oh wait, like they're looking good. And it's cool. It's cool. Like, I think it was LeBron. I remember I saw someone say that, like, when the Knicks are
it was LeBron,
the league is successful, right?
Yeah.
It's fun to watch. And it's true. You have the super team of the Nets, and everyone's like, they're running New York. And it's like,
not even.
It's like everyone's kind of paying attention to the Knicks now.
It's
like, this is cool. And we've been through so much, like you said, and like I said, it brings like a smile on my face. Like I'm finally like, oh, the Knicks are on at 7. I need to go. Like, when were we able to do that? Like, I think it was maybe
not even in college, man.
It was maybe in freshman year at most. Like, one of the few last mellow good seasons
exactly
that we had with us was where we kind of were like, oh, we got to watch. We're doing good. And it's been just such a long time. And it's like, I know that people are like, well, Melo brought you to playoffs a year ago, but it's like, after that stint, like everything that we've been through, it feels like it's been, like so much in such a short amount of time, to finally us being this 4th seed and getting the respect around the league. And people just being like, wow, this has just been an impressive season for the Knicks, and everything like that is just awesome. And like I said, like just getting that respect as a fandom now, it's like, wow, like, because like I said, it's not like a super team, like, oh, we brought in all these people and we're the 4th seed. It's like, these guys, like I said earlier, guys are all young. They're all like coached up. Tibbs coached them all up. And now we have this, and it's like, wow, the Knicks could be something in the future. So it's like, it's just been awesome. And, just at least for this year, barring any crazy Knicks setbacks, but it just brought up, I'm just super happy always to see that we're finally getting some respect in some regards here.
And how about that? Like you said, on this stretch, we've beaten the Mavs, the Clippers. We really could have beat the Suns. Just Chris Paul showing his last strides to tonight we have. I mean, it's the day after the recording, but tonight this recording we have Lakers Knicks. When was the last time you excited for Lakers Knicks? And LeBron's coming back.
Yeah,
Oh,
and LeBron's gonna be
coincidence,
in it.
right?
Yeah, yeah. Big game for both.
Yeah,
like I said, the Clippers one was a huge win. This would be like massive if we could
yeah.
win here. But yeah, just the Clippers one was like, oh, this is good for the road trip for sure. But this matchup, like, it's on ESPN. It's gonna be, like a huge
the big
game.
times. Doris, Mike Green for that. But shouts to Mike Green for staying loyal too as the Knicks main player by playing Walt and all them.
Yeah.
So it's a big game right here. And Lakers not to play in the play-in tournament. So
yeah, it's gonna be a fun game to watch for sure.
Just my last Knicks point is so as you said, the future now. Some people think, do they need to add an extra person? Zion is available in 2 years, and the Pelicans look like they all hate each other. As Zion said those, comments about MSG. Any chance do you think in the long run Zion comes to the Knicks if Mitch Robinson isn't who he's supposed to be? Would you take it? Would you rather just wait for Mitch to hold his own, or are you thinking time to get Zion, bring his BFF RJ's there? How do you feel?
I don't know. I'm not gonna jump on like the Knicks crazy conspiracy timelines down the line. Oh, we can get this, because it's like we always fall into that trap, right? It's like, well, Giannis is gonna come to us, right? It's awesome. And he signs a supermax. Oh, we gotta get Katie and Kyrie, or whatever, and they sign with the Nets. It's like, I'm not gonna join that. Would I love Zion in a Knicks uniform? Absolutely. But do I think the Pelicans are going to keep him long term? Yeah, they'll make something work. It's just, like, they have to find some formula down there. They've tried like so many different things so far, and it hasn't been successful. We'll mix vets with Zion, and we'll have some young players Zion. So it's tough with going on, but I don't think it would have to be like the catastrophic AD situation for Zion to be like, yeah, I'm out of here. But I'm not gonna. I would love him, obviously. He'll be our power forward. But I think right now it's like we have to just bask in the glory that is us being the 4 seed, and hope that this offseason we make some moves and kind of bolster the roster and make another run at it.
Definitely.
But yeah, I don't want to join in on crazy Zion things, but I like I said, I would love him in a Knicks uniform, but do I think it's going to happen? Probably not.
And just the other thing I want to ask with the other Pelican who is leaving the team this year, Lonzo Ball, do you think a lot of people think he could actually be a legit favorite to go on since D-Rose, we're having fun with him. He is older. Could get some fresh legs in there to grow the core even more. And we all know how great Zion is in assisting and stuff like that. Do you think Lonzo, being a great assister and playing defense as well, do you think any chance Lonzo comes to the Knicks this summer?
I think there's a good chance. I think they're going to take a look at him. I know we signed the European
Argentine
player.
And the other Luka.
Yeah. I know we signed him in the offseason. I know we didn't give him like a fully guaranteed deal. We'll see what he brings.
Yep.
But I think they do take a look at him. I don't know how much he's going to ask for. That's another thing as well. You have to think about keeping Julius long term, and as well as RJ. So I think he would be like the point guard that works for the Knicks. Pass first. Has worked on his shot a little bit. He's not as consistent as you would like as at the point guard position, but he has been at least working on his jump shot to be a little bit more consistent. But like you said, he's just a great facilitator, can run up and down the court quickly, good on the defensive end as well. So I think the Knicks do take a hard look at him. I think really at the end of the day, it comes down to numbers and what they're kind of thinking about long-term, because the way Julius Randle is playing right now, he can ask for a max contract because he's shown that he's worth it at that level, where he can play at that level for sure. So I think they will take a look at Lonzo. It just really depends on the numbers, I think, at the end of the day.
Definitely great points. And we're just having fun with house money. I think this team's good enough to win a round, especially if it winds up being like the Hawks coming in. Like that looks like it could be a 4-5 in that sense, or if for some reason all the possibilities being presented.
Yeah,
But
there's a lot of kind of crazy playoff or end of regular season kind of seeding stuff happening this week.
yeah,
So it should be interesting to see what all goes down, especially in the East because everything's so close.
yep. So exactly. So it'll all come together on Sunday, and we'll see what happens with it. But just any initial, as we see the final days of this NBA season come to a close, do you have any and as I talked to you before, we'll definitely talk throughout the playoffs and an anticipated one. But do you have any like initial teams you're interested in seeing, you think that can make runs? Whether it's, I mean, the whole Brooklyn, they'll probably now, oh, you're not hurt anymore, Harden, or Kyrie, you want to play fully? KD's back. We'll finally see the big three playing in the Nets. Are the Sixers gonna hold it? They are on a crazy 8-game winning streak. Obviously, is the Lakers gonna play in the play-in tournament? Or the Suns and the Nuggets battling it out? Just any initial thoughts, and then obviously when the playoffs come, we'll talk more in depth of it. But any like initial thoughts? How do you think the playoffs are gonna go?
I'm very interested to see the playing in the West,
Mhm.
especially with the Lakers. Because if the season were to end today, they would have to play the Warriors.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask too. Like
Yeah, and
LeBron and Curry in the
yeah,
play-in tournament.
and I think that's the one thing that LeBron doesn't want to see, and that's why the play-in he kind of criticises playing, which I think I really enjoy the play-in so far. I have really
Yeah.
enjoyed that whole mentality. Um, but I'm really interested to see how that if that matchup does happen because it's like the way Curry's playing right now, he's playing back. I was talking to my friend the other day. He's playing back at that MVP level that we know him. You know, he's dropped 49 in 3 quarters the other night. Like he's just doing
Mhm.
ridiculous things. So I think that that's a very tough matchup. Like, don't discount the Warriors. The way Steph's been playing these last 2 weeks as a 10 seed to go up against them. So, that's something I'm looking at to see if that matchup does take place. Because I think it could be really, really interesting to see what kind of happens there. We all know postseason LeBron and the level he plays at, but he has been hurt. We have to see how he looks kind of tonight against the
Yeah,
Knicks.
that's gonna be fun.
Um, it's going to be fun. We'll see how he looks. He might be on a minutes restriction. Who knows? I know AD is kind of getting back into his own, coming back off his own injury.
Mhm.
So it's going to be interesting to see come there. And then I'm really liking Phoenix this year
Yeah.
with Chris Paul. Everything that he's brought, the leadership and everything. I think they could be a team to kind of look out for. Not a lot of people, they have obviously successor, top seed in one of the top seeds in the West. But a lot of people are not really counting them, right? A lot of
Mhm.
people, maybe, we'll see. But I really like what I see. Chris Paul brings that mentality. Jay Crowder is great, on the defense with Devin Booker and
Yep.
DeAndre Ayton. We all know Devin Booker, but DeAndre Ayton has been playing really, really well this
Yeah,
season. A
there's a
lot of
first
people,
round pick,
yeah,
first pick, and
first overall
he's
pick, and he's coming into his own. And I think that's kind of the Chris Paul effect, getting him the ball at the right moments, getting his confidence up. He's been playing really well. So I think they're a team to look out for. And then, like we said earlier, the East is going to be interesting to see these last few weeks, just to see how the seeding is. But there's not really one particular matchup. I think the biggest threat to me to the Nets are the 76ers, the way they've been playing, being super hot going into the postseason. And I think they're the team that can match up defensively against the three-headed monster of the Nets. So we'll see. If Harden comes back and then he kind of gets over those postseason woes he had with the Rockets, they're going to be a tough team, obviously, with three superstar players. But I think the 76ers could be a team that does make a run and can make things tough for the Nets if they do eventually match up in the postseason. But stranger things have happened in the playoffs. We've seen upsets and everything like that, and the play-in this year can cause a lot of upsets. So
it's gonna
we'll
be
see.
it's gonna be such a ride, Alex. And
Yeah,
like I said, and we talked right before, plan is to just check in with people on this show after every round. And we're gonna miss you on the first preview show for it, but for the other ones throughout the next 2 months, it's gonna be great to examine how this is all coming together. And this is why we love hoops, and it's gonna be great. Now, just our last subject is our baseball beat chat right here. So, I mean, where do I start? Before we get into our teams, Alex, what's going on with the umps? I swear every single time I put out John Boy or Sports Center. It's always about how bad an ump made a play or how sensitive like Angel Hernandez is. Alex, are we gonna have to go to a time where we might? I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's just hard to say like to have robotic dumps. But I mean, it's crazy how specifically this first month of the season they're doing really bad, just straight up ignoring proof of mistakes in the challenge rule. I mean, this has been some time for the ump. What's going on, Alex?
Yeah, I really can't even begin to tell. I have no idea what's going on. Like you, it's like it seems like every other day, John Boy is posting something about an ump blowing a call, or whatever case might be. Clear point that I have in mind, being a Mets fan, was kind of turned the tide of the game, but it was against the Phillies where they said it was McCutchen stepped out of the baseline, which he did not. And the runner was safe at first, but he was out by a mile. So they had to go to review, and they kind of McCutchen should have been safe as that game. Didn't stay. I don't know if it was worse out there, but it should have been an automatic out there for McCutchen because he did not step out of the baseline at all.
Yeah, they literally showed the graphic of him of a straight line that he was on.
There was another one I saw, another Mets game. I think it was Familia threw a strike right at the knees. It might have been on ESPN when it happened too. He threw a strike right at the guy. Like it literally, you have the scoreboard. It painted the line perfectly in the strike zone, and he called it a ball. So it's just been all over the place, and usually we don't see that from MLB. Usually they're umps. There's mistakes here and there.
Except Angel Hernandez.
Except Angel Hernandez. I don't think we've seen this many mistakes so early in the offseason.
Right.
I think it was the Phillies-Braves game, the play at home, where he didn't even touch home or whatever, and he called him safe. Or he didn't touch the bag, and he called him safe.
Yeah.
So there's just been so many weird ups and downs to umpiring this year, and I don't know. Like you said, I don't want to see robotic umps because God knows how that looks. But someone has to tell them, so they have to really start looking at something because this is like kind of getting ridiculous that at least like once a game and one game there's some absurd missed call, like strike down the middle, strike somewhere, ball, whatever, like things like that. Bots calls at home or at first or whatever the case might be. It's just getting a little bit crazy at this point. So we'll see what happens. I don't know if like Manfred's going to call up the ump union and be like, what the hell's going on with you guys? But
because we can trust what Manfred will do for this sport.
I don't know what he's going to do about this sport. So I don't know if that.
But I hear what you're saying for sure.
Yeah, there definitely has to be some sort of conversation about what's going on.
Yeah, you're costing teams play. I mean, even early on, if you lose by a game and a half or half a game or a game that was destroyed from an ump rules, well, there you go. And something has to be done, as you said. How do you feel about the extra inning stuff that's been going on? I personally don't, but I think regular season, yes. And to have it go, games go faster. Let's be real, Alex. We talked about this when we had Andy join us. Is games are long, and especially like if I'm need to get ready to get to work in the morning, and I'm up at 11:30, and they're waiting a whole time. I actually am pro extra inning rule for the regular season. Playoffs, it should not be based on chance like that. But do you think you've been having any problems with it? I've heard quote unquote the boomers saying, "Oh, this is traditional" and stuff like that. But I think it's fine. I really think it. Don't forget, it's for both the home and away team, so no one's getting screwed out of it.
Yeah.
But I've liked the extra inning rule this season. How do you feel about it?
No, I totally agree. I think it should be for regular season at least. I don't know about the postseason. I don't really would like the postseason, but I don't know why people are complaining about it. It does speed up the game a little bit. As awesome as back then, being in 18 inning games and seeing that, like, yeah, it's cool. But it's really only cool in like the playoffs or in the World Series. Like we had the long extra inning game with the Dodgers a few years back, and that was fun to watch. But it's
Game 7 was extra innings too, in 16.
Yeah, so like that's cool. But like regular season, do I want to sit there for 4 hours, 5 hours? No. So I was fine with it, and it's like people are like, "Oh, it gives an advantage." You're like, you're right. No, both teams get a shot, but it's also like bring out your pitchers. Like your pitchers have to do well. Like they have to do their job. They have to hold down. And it just shows, the team who has the better, bullpens are going to end up pretty much winning those extra inning games
Right.
because those guys lock it down. So, I know it just makes things easier. It's like, no, you still have to get up. You still have to go hit. You still have to get the guy in. And you only, if you're going up against someone like a great bullpen pitcher, a great arm, it's going to be difficult to do that. So I'm all for it, at least for the regular season. Like I said, I don't know about postseason. I think they should just go back maybe to traditional rules to the postseason, just because it just adds a little bit extra drama and element. And I think that's what fans want in a postseason game or, series, that they want that drama. They want to see, who comes in the clutch and things like that. And I think that traditional rule takes that away. But for sure, I have really no complaints about the extra inning rule.
Definitely no here. Now, let's hit on the Yankees real quick, Alex. At first, felt like the sky was falling as a Yankee fan in the month of April. Then, with the resurgence of Stanton finally making that money worth it, with the team playing much better, had a good weekend series against the Nats this past weekend. You had getting 2 out of 3 from Houston. It's finally feeling okay. Though Judge can hit some more, needs to hit some more, really stepping up. He's had a really bad start and hasn't gone out of it yet. We were excited with Rooney. Door until he got hurt was being another huge move, showing how good Cashman is. Luke Voigt comes back the time of this recording. You think the Yankees are going to be fine from here on out? It was just a really bad April.
Yeah, I think so. To me, like, I don't hit the panic button until like going towards the All-Star break, because that's when you kind of start realizing, like, oh crap, like this is how things are panning out, right? Like you're either pretty much when you're hitting that moment, you kind of know if you're in it, you're starting to fall out of it.
Right.
So I really hit the panic button. I know Yankee fans, even Met fans, just New York fans in general, we're all quick to hit the panic. But I think it was just a really bad start for the Yankees. In these last few weeks, they've kind of started to turn things around. Like you said, Judge does need to hit. Glaber needs to hit. But I think, they're they're trending towards, balancing things out and getting things back together. And Giancarlo is clearly carrying the team right now, just the way he's been hitting.
Right.
So, I wouldn't think there's cause for concern. I think it was just a really bad start for the Yankees. But, it seems like they're starting to kind of get their things back and corrected and starting to getting things in hit. So, hopefully this next month is good for them. The month of May is good and they can start hitting again, because they really need to start doing that, because their team is so offensive driven.
Right.
So, I wouldn't hit the panic button yet, but I think it was just a bad start. And I think they'll probably start turning things around soon, at least with the flashes of greatness, I guess, if you will. Not really greatness, but good signs. These last few weeks from the Yankees, it shows that they're having a little bit of life. And I think that hopefully will translate going into this month.
I think it will too. I'm excited with the teams pulling together. The pitching, the starting pitch, the bullpen is one of the best in baseball. Starting pitching's been hit and miss. Garrett Cole's been himself. Corey Kluber at first, but now he had a good start against the Nats last week, holding his old against Scherzer. Tyone, then I'll let the jury out on him as well. But oddly, Germán first started well, but he had a couple bad starts lately. But don't forget, Luis Severino's come back very soon too, and like you said, it's May, so we have nothing to worry about. And last but not least, the New York Mets, Alex. What's the first question? I asked rat or raccoon, but too bad they debunked that. Or Donnie Diesel. How'd you like these stories? The Mets keeping themselves in the headlines with Donnie Diesel, rat or raccoon.
Just to add it to is it KFC Barstool? Someone from Barstool has the Mets bracket of like all-time stories.
I gotta look that up.
Just add, yeah, it's hilarious. If you look up like Mets like like all-time headline stories. There's a bracket. I think it's
Oh
on
my god.
Barstool, and it's hilarious. So Rat or Raccoon has to definitely be added on there, and Diesel. Um, but yeah, it's just this is the Mets being the Mets at the end of the day.
Right.
But I'm happy to see that, like, as blasphemous as that story of Lindor and McNeil fighting over if it was a rat or a raccoon, to see them kind of like come together and hug it out, and they're all like kind of like cheery and smiling and everything. And it seems like they fired each other up because they've been doing extremely well
Yeah.
games.
Haven't lost yet.
And they've been on a winning streak. Maybe the rat or raccoon would be like kind of the rally cry for this Mets team going forward. Making hopefully a postseason push. Maybe it was that moment that kind of turned the team around. And everyone said, sometimes arguments cause things that happen and people to come together, and maybe that was the one moment that they both chirped at each other, and then the team kind of came together and realized, we need to be brothers. We need to, battle together. And now we won, we're on this winning streak. So, it was a crazy headline week with the Donnie and the rat or raccoon, but it's at least see the Mets win at least after that. It's been fine. I've been okay with it.
Do you think any way to help? Speaking of the Mets, so the first place Mets in the NL East, how you feeling about them in general now since this change and winning 5 in a row? About to play the Orioles the time this recording, and again also tomorrow. Last night for the show, Matt Harvey making a comeback. So more fun things for the Mets to take in. But you liking what you see of this team after an okay start, but during this phenomenon, they've been playing well ever since.
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure. I'm happy to see. It stinks that DeGrom is down for at
Yeah,
least
I was
the
gonna say
next.
he's in the IL for the 10-day
Yeah.
IL. You worried
So
about that at all or no?
No, I was telling, my dad called me and asked about if I was a little nervous. Just seeing that there wasn't any structural damage or, anything crazy. I think it's just more they're being overly cautious.
Mm-hmm.
With him, obviously, he's playing at his typical Cy Young level, if not MVP level, the
Yeah.
first 2 starts of the year. And it was just fun to watch. So I think you're just being a little bit cautious. He might miss his next 2 starts, obviously, but I'd much rather him just rest up than him try to, us trying to rush him back out for his next start and hurt himself further. So, I'm not nervous, especially, we have the Orioles, which, hopefully we win the series against the Orioles. If not, it'll kind of be a disaster. Or at least win the series against them. But yeah, so far, it was a little bit of a shaky start. But like I said, the last few games, you kind of see everyone kind of turn the corner. Hopefully Lindor starts really being consistently hitting. I know he kind of has a trend to start slow. So I know a lot of Mets fans are like, who might have seen Lindor in Cleveland, are kind of nervous and panicking that we paid all this money to a guy. But he starts a little bit slow, but hopefully he's fired up. He's hit some big hits and big home runs. He had a big home run and then, a couple big hits or he gets on base. He's on base and he's making plays, things like that. And he's been great defensively. So far, I'm not hitting any panic buttons. I'm okay. And this is just a good series coming up. You just have to hope they can win the series here, and it just really have to, carry these next 2 weeks or however long, DeGrom might be out. The starting pitchers really have to step up without him being around. And the bullpen's been great these last, they've been a key reason to this winning streak.
Yeah.
So if they can just keep
Edward
it up.
Diaz, not too bad.
Yeah, not too bad. And Familia's looked like, World Series, 2015 Familia lately.
Oh, yeah.
So, if the bullpen can keep it up and the Mets can just, scrap 2 wins without DeGrom these next few weeks, without him on the hill and the confidence that we'll most likely walk away with a win, even though we don't really score for him.
Isn't that something, man? That the DeGrom odd curse of that. Yeah. And he might get in the Hall of Fame with less than 100 wins without that.
Yeah,
I think he's at 73 right now.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. if they can scrap by without him, start pitching and the bullpen really have to hold down the fort for the 2 weeks, I think would be in good position. But so far, I've just been liking everything that I've been seeing. I know it's been a slow start for the Mets as well, similar with the Yankees, but we seem to be kind of turning the corner, especially on this winning streak for sure.
Definitely. And also a lot of credit to Taijuan Walker, who's been pitching really well. That Adonis of a man. I don't know if you saw the cut up shirt picture of him walking around with Pete Alonso had these funny Donnie Diesel shirts, and there's one of him. He's the real Donnie Diesel, if you're asking me.
Yeah, he's been great. I love what I see from Taijuan. I thought it was a good signing, and he's been showing that he's kind of bounced back and being the reliable pitcher that he can be. So it's been good to see him have success here in a Mets uniform for sure.
Yeah, and like not to take anything away from him, but when Bauer didn't work out, you get Taijuan Walker, and look at what he's doing. And it's not the headache that Trevor Bauer could give into other people. So I think he dodged the bullet on that.
Yeah. Sure.
Well, Alex, pleasure as always. 2 epic hours of great content. Dude, as the weather's getting warmer, let's have some more fun. Let's get to some games and reunite in person, as we're both fully vaccinated people out there, and definitely make sure it happens for the listeners who are willing to do it. And is there anything else you want to say before we sign off?
No, again, I always appreciate you being on. We always have good conversations, and today, 2 hours of everything under the sun. So, another great.
It feels like 30 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Another great time, and I appreciate you having me on again. And looking forward to hopefully down the line, maybe this summer we'll catch a Met or a Yankee game together.
Absolutely,
and just reuniting because it's been way too long.
Yeah, definitely. Let's make it a Met one, because I know you went to the Yankee one the last time, so I will go check out a Met game with that, or a Yankee game, or both, or multiple. Honestly, we're now fully vaccinated. We can get in the vaccine section. Oh, just quick thing, Alex. You heard about this? What do they call 135 Mafia? The fan base, the Gen Z one. What do you think of those guys? Starting to fight and stuff.
It is what it is. I mean, everyone eats their own. But it's kind of fun, just interesting seeing these,
guys being bases. Dudes.
Yeah, and just Gen fan bases. And then I think didn't they get into an argument with someone in that group, and they kicked him out?
They kicked him out from the 7. I think they started with the 7 line, and the way I look at it, be happy young people are interested in your sport. Yeah. And baseball just annoying. Yeah. They don't like to have fun.
Yeah. No, I think there was someone that some fan page that aligned themselves with the 135, and the fan kept on getting kicked out. So the 125 said we're done with you, and they started a huge argument. But that's completely different. But I'm just fine with more. If you want to start your own fan group or different things or whatever. All for it, as long as you're being smart and responsible in the stadiums, and not being complete idiots.
Exactly.
But yeah, just the more fan bases, the better. You have the 7th line for the Mets and all this stuff. Grow more fan bases. Have
bleacher creatures for Yankees.
Yeah, bleacher creatures. Have more communities. It's awesome to see the different communities and all these different fans and all these different things that you can do, and it's so unique. So yeah, if there's a Gen Z, fan base for Mets fans, go for it. Or Yankee fans, join them if you want to
make your TikToks while you're at
it. Have fun. Be in a community that you associate yourself with, because it makes games more enjoyable if you're hanging out with a bunch of people who you like being with. It makes games so much more fun.
Definitely. And we'll be going to a game very, very soon to add to that. Well, we'll see you again, Alex, very soon as we cover these playoffs. And like I said, I'll be on this to make sure we also reunite in person as well.
That's good, Matt. Thank you again for having me, and hopefully I'll see you soon, buddy.
Definitely. You the man, Alex. I love you, and I'll talk to you really, really soon. And text you too.
Yeah. Sounds good. Talk to you soon, buddy.
All right, peace.
Bye.